Hello and welcome everybody to my channel Omni Bio Entrance. Today we will be discussing the biology section of the question paper for NEST 2012. I will be discussing only the biology section. So first section. For questions 2.1 to 2.10, only one of the four options is correct. A correct answer will earn 3 marks, a wrong answer will earn -1 mark, and an unattempted question will earn 0 marks. So coming to the first question, the results obtained after following the experimental design of Michelson and Stahl to study DNA replication are shown in the adjacent figure. These results suggest that the mode of DNA replication is, we can see that first it is grown in N15 medium and then in N14 medium. As it is passing from N15 to N14 medium, for each generation, the N14 band is getting thicker and thicker and N15 band is getting thicker. Okay, now we will come to the experiment. I have given it in the next page. So here, this is the experiment done by Michelson and Stahl to see whether the DNA replication is conservative, dispersive or semi-conservative. So what is conservative mode of DNA? It states that the two parental strands reassociate after acting as templates for new strands, thus restoring the parental double helix. That is, you will have only the parental double helix and there won't be any hybrids in this kind of replication, that is conservative. Now, the dispersive model states that each strand of both daughter molecules contain a mixture of old and newly synthesized DNA strand. It will be somewhat a mixture, that is the dispersive model. Whereas semi-conservative model, it states that the two strands of the parental molecule separate and each function as template for the synthesis of a new complementary strand. So you will get a hybrid as well as the parental strands also. Hybrid is one with blue line and one with red line. That is, half will be N15 and one half will be N14 DNA. That is semi-conservative model. Now, we can see that after the first round of replication, 50% of the molecules would consist of the original DNA and 50% will consist of the entirely new DNA in the case of conservative replication. Then again, by the second round of replication, we can see that the amount of N15 DNA is getting reduced and N14 DNA is increasing. That is why there was a light shade for the N15 in the tube and N14 was thicker band in the last tube. That because after each round of replication, the N15 DNA is getting reduced and N14 DNA is increasing. This is conservative model of DNA replication. So your answer is also option, I don't remember, but answer is conservative. And in the case of dispersive, you will get hybrid molecules containing some original and some new DNA. This is what is happening in dispersive model. Whereas if it was semi-conservative replication, then you would produce two hybrid molecules each containing half original DNA and half new DNA. And after the second round of replication, you will get half molecules would be hybrid, that is this, and the other half would be the parental strands. So that would be the case with semi-conservative DNA replication. Okay, so the answer is conservative mode of DNA replication. Now coming to the next question. Desert animals need to conserve water. Kidneys regulate the concentration of salt and water in blood through the formation and excretion of urine. A kidney is composed of approximately 1 million units called nephrons. The kidney of desert animals have modified nephrons which help them survive long periods without water. Which one of these options would be expected modification? Option A, a very short collecting duct. B, a very long loop of Henle. C, a very short distal tubule. And D, a very large Bowman's capsule. Answer is option B, a very long loop of Henle's. Why? Because kidney of desert animals have longer loop of Henle to make the animal urine as concentrated as possible and limit the amount of water and salt that they lose. This helps the desert animal to live for longer periods of time on minimal amount of water. Now coming to the next question. In an in vitro transcription experiment, the transcript and both the strands of the DNA were separated and analyzed for their base composition. That is what is given in the table. The result obtained is shown in the following table. Determine which DNA strand is serving as the template for mRNA synthesis. Now I have told you in my previous discussion with the next question paper, that is 2011, I have told that the template strand or the anticodon strand or the non-coding strand serves in mRNA synthesis, whereas the other strand of the DNA, which is called the coding strand, will have the sequence that is same as that of the newly synthesized mRNA and hence the same base composition. So the sequence of mRNA will be identical to the given sequence of the coding strand except for the presence of uracil in the place of thymine in mRNA. mRNA sequence they have given as 24G, 29.6A, 0T because it is having uracil instead of thymine, and 20C. Now we can see that from the table the strand DNA strand 1 matches with the mRNA strand in composition of ATGC. So G is 23.8 for DNA strand, for mRNA it is 24. So approximately they are same with G composition. Now it is for A it is 30 for DNA strand 1 and it is 29.6 for mRNA. For DNA strand 1 T is 26 and for mRNA uracil is 25.8. C is 20 for DNA strand 1 and 20 for mRNA. So this DNA strand 1 and mRNA have almost the same base composition, and I have told you that the coding strand, why it is called, because it is the same base sequence as that of the newly synthesized mRNA strand. So naturally DNA strand 2 will be the template strand from which mRNA synthesis happens. So answer is option DNA strand 2. Telomeres are nucleotide sequences at the end of DNA molecules of eukaryotic cells. Since linear chromosomal DNA gets shortened naturally after each round of replication, telomeres protect the gene near the ends of the DNA from being eroded. So telomeres are nothing but nucleotide sequences found at the end of DNA molecules. Now telomeres, what they do? They protect gene near the ends of the DNA from being eroded. That is, during each round of replication, chances of DNA getting shortened at the telomeres is more. So to prevent that, there are certain nucleotide sequences called as telomeres that protect the genes near the ends of the DNA from being eroded. An enzyme called telomerase catalyzes the lengthening of telomeres. So this is catalyzed. That is, the DNA from being eroded during replication is catalyzed by enzyme telomerase that catalyzes the lengthening of telomeres. So DNA length doesn't get shortened at the telomeres during each round of replication. Now, in which of the following cells do you expect the activity of telomerase to be highest? Differentiated cells, stem cells, actively respiring cells, aging cells. Differentiated cells are nothing but already differentiated into muscles, brain cells, etc. What are stem cells? Stem cells are nothing but cells from which all other cells with specialized function are generated. So stem cells will give rise to muscle cells, stem cells will give rise to brain cells, stem cells will give rise to blood cells. So naturally the activity of telomerase will be highest in stem cells. Next one. Insectivorous plants have evolved an ability to capture and digest insects in addition to their ability to photosynthesize. Which of the following nutritional requirements is most likely being partially met by this carnivorous ability of plant? It is a direct question. So the answer is nitrogen, option. Now next one. The graph below depicts serum antibody levels in a child after vaccination. Which antibody types do the curves A and B represent respectively? So shortly after immunization, that is first dose of injection, IgM antibodies appear. This is followed by, so the first exposure to antigen will naturally be IgM antibodies, that is this curve B. Then by the second exposure to antigen, IgG antibodies are produced. The concentration of IgG antibodies during second exposure is more than the IgM antibodies produced during the first exposure to antigen. So answer will be option D, IgG and IgM. Next one. The phenomenon of linked genes contradicts which of the following fundamental principle of genetics? Law of segregation, principle of dominance and recessivity, principle of independent assortment, incomplete dominance. It is nothing but principle of independent assortment. Then next one. The endosymbiotic theory of evolution is based on a phenomenon in which one organism engulfs another but does not digest it. Both organisms continue to live together in an arrangement that is mutually beneficial. It is considered to be one of the key evolutionary events that led to the development of higher eukaryotic organisms, including plants and animals. The organelles of a eukaryotic cell that are believed to have originated through early symbiotic events are. So it is thought that the mitochondria and chloroplast are thought to have been originated through early symbiotic events. So answer is option C, mitochondria and chloroplast. Next one. Below is a generalized representation of the process of anaerobic cellular respiration. Which molecule represent X, Y, Z respectively? So this is glucose. Glucose by glycolysis is getting converted to pyruvate. Pyruvate upon anaerobic respiration give rise to 2 lactate molecules and 2 ethanol plus 2 carbon dioxide molecules. Ethanol is produced by fermentation in yeast and lactate is produced by fermentation to lactate in vigorously contracting muscles. So Option X will be nothing but ATP, Y will be lactate, and Z will be ethanol. So option D is correct. Next one. Flowering plants can reproduce either sexually, that is through fusion of haploid gametes that are produced following meiotic divisions in reproductive organs, or asexually from diploid vegetative organs. The following statement represent a mix of correct and incorrect general features of both these modes of reproduction. 1. In sexual reproduction, progeny are genetically different from each other. That is correct. In sexual reproduction, meiosis happens. Meiosis will result in recombination and crossing over. So they will be genetically different from each other. Then second one, in asexual mode of reproduction, progeny are genetically identical to each other but different from their parents. That is wrong, because in asexual reproduction, that is vegetative organs are involved, somatic cells are involved. The progeny will be genetically identical to each other as well as with their parents. Next one, development of greater adaptive ability is possible in case of progeny derived by sexual reproduction. That is correct. Next one, a minor change in the habitat may adversely affect all offspring derived by asexual reproduction. Yes, they are all genetically identical with their parents as well as among themselves. So naturally, a minor change in the habitat can adversely affect all offsprings in case of asexual reproduction. Whereas in sexual reproduction, they have greater adaptive stability because they are not similar to their parents nor to with their other offsprings. Then a bisexual plant grown in isolation is incapable of sexual reproduction. Now what is a bisexual plant? It has got both sexes, that is having both stamens and carpels. So bisexual plant contains both male and female reproductive organs in the same flower. So naturally it is capable of sexual reproduction. So 5 is incorrect and your answer will be option A, 1, 3 and 4. For questions 211 to 214, one or more than one of the 4 options may be correct. Your answer is regarded correct only if you choose all the correct options and no incorrect options. A correct answer will earn 5 marks, a wrong answer or an unattempted question will earn 0 marks. An operon comprises of regulatory DNA sequences such as activator and repressor, binding sites near the promoter, and controls the transcription of structural genes as a single mRNA. Lac operon is a classical example of gene regulation related to the primary utilization of carbon source for energy in the gut bacterium Escherichia coli. The transcription of structural genes is governed by availability of different concentration of glucose and or lactose in the medium. Which of the following statements related to the lac operon is or are true? First one, repressor binds to the RNA polymerase. Repressor binds to the operator, not to the RNA polymerase, and it will prevent the binding of RNA polymerase to the promoter. CAMP levels will be low in the absence of glucose. The concentration of CAMP level is inversely proportional to the concentration of glucose. So CAMP level low means amount of concentration of glucose should be high. So B is also wrong. Lac operon works on the principle of negative regulation. That is correct. So option C is correct. If glucose is absent and lactose is present, high levels of lac mRNA will be synthesized. That is also correct. So option C and D are next one. E. coli is a bacterium that is routinely used in cloning experiments and can be grown on artificially synthesized media in the laboratory. One of the strains of this bacterium, XL1 blue, is naturally resistant to the antibiotic tetracycline. So it will naturally grow on medium or growth medium with tetracycline supplement. A genetic transformation experiment was performed to introduce a plasmid that encodes an ampicillin resistance gene into this strain. So they have introduced a plasmid carrying the ampicillin resistance gene to this strain of E. coli, which already is naturally having resistance to the antibiotic tetracycline. And what they have done? Following transformation, an equal number of cells were grown independently on two types of growth media. That is growth medium with tetracycline alone and B growth medium with tetracycline and ampicillin. The number of colonies that grew on medium A was much higher than that obtained on medium B. So the number of colonies that were obtained in growth medium A was higher than that obtained on medium B. Which of the following statements explains the above observation? The transformation efficiency of cells is lower than their viability. That is correct. Why? Because that is why there was more number of colonies were observed on growth medium A when compared to that in medium B. So option A is correct. Untransformed cells also grew on growth medium A. Tetracycline was inhibitory to the growth of bacterial cells. Ampicillin did not allow transformed cells to grow on growth medium B. I will explain it in the next slide. So here they have taken a bacterium, that is XL1 blue E. coli strain having tetracycline resistance. They have transformed this strain with plasmid with ampicillin resistance and they have plated on two different media. That is, one is growth medium with tetracycline tetracycline and growth medium with tetracycline plus ampicillin, and they have observed that in the plate with tetracycline the number of colonies were more when compared to the plate with tetracycline plus ampicillin. So in tetracycline medium alone there will be untransformed colonies as well as transformed ones because it is only supplemented with tetracycline. So untransformed cells naturally have got a tetracycline resistance gene in them, and the transformed cells have got ampicillin as well as tetracycline resistance gene. So both of them will grow in medium supplemented with tetracycline. Whereas with the medium supplemented with tetracycline plus ampicillin, only those with transformed colonies, that is those carrying the plasmid with ampicillin resistance, will grow. So the next option that is correct will be untransformed cells also grew on growth medium A. Okay, so two options are correct. One is A, that I have told earlier, that is the transformation efficiency of cells is lower than their viability. And the next option that is correct will be untransformed cells also grew on growth medium A. The other options are wrong. Birth records of 4 babies were mixed up in a hospital. The ABO blood groups of the 4 babies were known to be A, B, AB and O. To determine their respective parents, blood groups of all parents except the father of baby 3 were tested. Choose the correct statements. The blood group of father 3 could be A and baby 3 is A. The blood group of father 3 could be B and baby 3 is AB. The blood group of father 3 could be either AB or B. The blood group of father 2 could be O and baby 3A. So option B and C are correct. We will see how in the. This is the case with parents 1. Parents are AB and father is AB and mother is O. So one parent is having the gametes A and B, and O will produce only one type of gamete, that is O. The child can be either AO or BO. That is, child can have either blood group A or B. Now coming to the second parents. One of them is A and the other is O. A will produce either A gametes or AO gametes. O will produce only O. So the child will be either A group or O group and having genotype AO or OO. Now the fourth parent. Fourth parent, both the parents are of O blood group. So the child will naturally be O blood group. So one child is O blood group, the other child, this child will be, that is of parent 2 will be A, and for parents 1 the child will be B. Now we have to see for child with parent whose father they have not given the genotype, because now AB child is left out. So what will be the genotype of his father? We have to find out. If father is B, we can have genotypes BB and BO. That is as per option B. That is, the blood group of father 3 could be B and baby 3 is AB. So the father will be B. That is, he can have either genotype BB and BO. And upon crossing with BB and with A, that is the blood group of mother, you will get a child which is AB blood group. Now the next case, the blood group of father 3 could be either AB or B. We have seen when the blood group is B, you will get a child with AB. Now we will see when the father is with blood group AB. AB and the mother with A. So naturally there also you will get a child with AB blood group. So option B and C are correct. Now next one. Presynaptic neurons generate nerve impulses, action potentials, which are transmitted to the postsynaptic neuron via synapses. So these are the presynaptic neurons. These are the presynaptic neurons and this is the postsynaptic neuron. So presynaptic neurons, they will generate nerve impulses or action potentials which are transmitted to the postsynaptic neuron, and there is a junction over here that is called as synapse. So presynaptic neurons release neurotransmitters in the synapse which bind to specific receptors on the postsynaptic neurons. So these presynaptic neurons, they will release certain neurotransmitters like acetylcholine or even inhibitory neurotransmitter like GABA. So these will be released by the presynaptic neuron, and the postsynaptic neuron will have receptors which will bind to these neurotransmitters. So they will bind, the neurotransmitter will bind to the specific receptor on the postsynaptic neuron. A diagrammatic figure showing connectivity of neurons in a neural circuit is given below. The dendrites and cell bodies of the postsynaptic neuron, that is A, receives synaptic contacts from 5 different presynaptic neurons. So this is the postsynaptic neuron and it will receive synaptic contacts from 5 different presynaptic neurons, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. The presynaptic neurons 1 and 5, this one and this one, they release an excitatory neurotransmitter, that is acetylcholine, to act on the postsynaptic neuron, whereas presynaptic neuron 2, 3, 4 release inhibitory neurotransmitter, that is gamma aminobutyric acid, to act on this postsynaptic neuron, that is A. The ability of the postsynaptic neuron to generate the action potential depends upon the relative contribution from the excitatory and inhibitory neurotransmitters. Choose the correct answers from the options given below. Neuron A will generate an action potential if only neurons 1 to 5 release acetylcholine. So that is correct. When neuron 1 and 5 release acetylcholine, neuron A will generate an action potential. That is correct. Then neuron A will generate an action potential if neuron 1 releases acetylcholine and at the same time neuron 2, 3, 4 release GABA on it. No. We will see the option C. They have given it correct. Neuron A will not generate an action potential but instead gets inhibited if neuron 1 release acetylcholine and at the same time neurons 2, 3, 4 release GABA on it. So that is what is correct than option B. So answer A and C are correct.